That one.
Now, from common sense to complete utter madness. Hundreds of students are being turfed out of their digs to make room for asylum seekers in the latest wave of genius from the Home Office. It comes as the number of small boat arrivals so far this year surpasses 20,000, with 300 crossing the Channel on Tuesday alone. To deal with what they've described as an unprecedented pressure, the Home Office plans to move migrants into this luxury block in Huddersfield, which has a gym, a cinema room and top-end studio flats, which can cost a couple of £100 a week. Meanwhile, the students who'd already signed tenancy agreements have been forced to find alternative accommodation a week before lectures start. And what's interesting about this, the last time I looked, the department that's in charge of sourcing accommodation for asylum seekers would be the Home Office or an agency connected to the Home Office. The Home Office is run by the government. The government are supposed to be doing their best to make sure these kind of embarrassing stories don't happen. So what you've got here is a classic case, whatever the rights and wrongs, of the government themselves can't even hide the absolute stupidity of their own decision-making here. Whatever anybody... We've seen it before, by the way. You know, people who've got, like, a shop in a hotel or whatever, a boutique, a gift shop, hairdressers, have been told, sorry, we're taking this hotel, it's going to become an asylum place. Whatever the sympathies you might have with that cause, the idea that businesses have to close and now students, their education is potentially compromised because some character crossed the Channel in a boat.
But no,
you can't make this nonsense.
It's the Home Office that is the one that's at fault.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. They need Grant Shapps there.
I mean,
Bring back Shapsy.
He couldn't hang around.
The fact is, the Home Office are continually on a back foot. They're always operating from a state of emergency. They're making all these ridiculous and rubbish decisions. They haven't planned and cannot plan, even though trends are telling them that people are still going to come across the Channel. They know what happened last year. They know what happened in previous months. They just aren't able to plan for that. So it's barges, student accommodation, tents and back gardens soon, because they just don't have a plan.
They need to look ahead.
Exactly.
They can't plan
considerable amount of time. We're in,
and
they're not also trying to stop the migrants from coming across the Channel in the first place.
This is why they have to stop
It's just
them.
emergency
Because there isn't, and they can't just commandeer buildings.
But they can't.
Well, they could, but I mean that's another argument. But I mean the fact is that the reason why this is happening is because the landlords are now going to get greedy and just go, well, do you know what? I'll sign up with Serco, whoever it is, for 5 years. We won't have to worry about dealing with all these students and their dopey parents who never pay us on time anyway. We'll get the block booking. It'll all be fine. But these kids, it might be quite amusing actually if any of them had been on one of those demonstrations shouting, say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. Because now they've been moved out of their own home as a result. But the bottom line for a lot of these people is they won't be able to find any more accommodation. Because I, unfortunately, am on the receiving end of this. My son's going off to university in about a week and a half. And he's only just found a place. And they're absolutely ripping the backside out of it, charging an absolute fortune. But if he was suddenly told you can't move in there, you wouldn't find another place now between now and the start of the term.
I do question this story only because of the specifics. Plush digs. There's nothing plush in Huddersfield. I've been there. Terrible place.
That's a bit hard.
There's nothing plush. There's nothing plush in something that costs £200 a week.
Plush. Yeah, but it's tabloid plush. Tabloid plush doesn't have an outside toilet.
Honestly, you and the Glasgow Tourist Board, you and the Huddersfield Tourist Board.
I'm not sure. There's only one way to find out which is worse, Huddersfield or Glasgow. I think it's Huddersfield, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Ooh, getting chills about the place.
Absolutely shocking. But if this starts to happen a lot and they just start to commandeer things, that's going to be a problem as well, because technically speaking, there might be lawyers that will jump all over it and say, well, we've got a tenancy agreement that you've just broken. So now, and then the landlord will go, well, I was forced into it, so you'll have to sue the government. And it will just be more lawsuits going back and forth. It's mad.
But what is odd as well is why do this at a student digs when they're just about to go? When you've got, presumably they've just run out of options. But again, if you'd done this at the beginning, knowing what was going on, the boats were going to carry on coming over, you'd do it 3 months ago. Is when you do it before all of the,
God
before
forbid
all
the
this.
government would try and plan anything.
Oh yeah, good.
Well, maybe
like we said, we need to get Grant Shapps on it.
Yeah.
Maybe Rishi Sunak's trying to keep his word, because remember he said they were going to stop commandeering hotels. He didn't say we're going to start commandeering other
everywhere
buildings,
else.
Yeah.
True.
Well made.
That's his way around it.
Maybe.
Who knows what?
Kept
They'll
his
be
promise.
moving into the AA building.
Yeah. They're in the Shard soon.